Atlanta, a city full of noise, sunshine, and new beginnings. That's where Melody decided to start over. She didn't come here for fame or attention. She came because she needed to breathe again. After everything that happened in Huntsville, all the heartbreak, the court fights, and the public humiliation, Atlanta was her escape, her freedom, her chance to build something fresh for herself and her children, far away from the shadow of Martell and the drama that had surrounded her for years. When she stepped off the plane with her kids by her side, it wasn't just another flight, it was a statement. She was done living in a place that constantly reminded her of her pain. Every corner of Huntsville held a memory. The laughter that had faded, the arguments that had broken her spirit, and the love that had turned into a battlefield. So when she finally arrived in Atlanta, with her head held high and her heart still healing, it felt like freedom, fragile but real. Her children were excited, wide-eyed, and full of energy. They didn't fully understand everything that was happening, but they could feel the change. Their new house was beautiful. A warm, peaceful suburban home with a small backyard, a quiet street, and the promise of new memories waiting to be made. For Melody, it was more than just a house. It was a sanctuary, a place where she could finally put down the burden she had carried for so long and begin again. But healing doesn't come easily, especially when your pain has played out on television and across social media. The past doesn't stay buried when everyone has an opinion. And Martell, he wasn't the type of man to let go quietly. Back in Huntsville, Martell was struggling. The same pride that had once made him feel powerful was now eating him alive. He couldn't stand the idea that Melody had moved on, that she was building a life without him, in a city full of new faces and fresh opportunities. To him, Atlanta wasn't just a place. It was rejection. It was proof that he had lost control over something he thought would always belong to him. He tried to play it off with bravado, telling friends, "Let's see how long she lasts there." But underneath that tough talk was pain, confusion, and fear. He had built his identity around being the husband, the father, the man who had it all. And now, with Melody gone, he didn't know who he was anymore. Melody, on the other hand, was doing her best to focus on rebuilding her life. She filled her days with the little things like school drop-offs, grocery runs, and trying to make their new house feel like home. She wanted her kids to have normal days, laughter and peace. No cameras, no shouting, no tension, just calm. But peace can be fragile when the person you're trying to escape refuses to let you go. One day, as she was unpacking boxes and helping the kids settle into their rooms, her phone buzzed with a notification. It was a video. Martell's face flashing across the screen in an interview, talking about their custody battle as if it were a competition. He wasn't talking like a father who cared about his children's well-being. He was talking like a man trying to win a war. Melody felt her stomach tighten. The peace she had been working so hard to protect cracked in an instant. She stared at her phone, shaking her head. It wasn't just the words he said, it was the smugness, the arrogance, the way he twisted the story to make himself look like the victim. "This should end now," she whispered to herself, but deep down she knew it wouldn't. Martell didn't want peace. He wanted power. Still, Melody refused to let him destroy what she was building. She threw herself into her new life in Atlanta, surrounding herself with strong women who understood what it meant to rebuild after heartbreak. That's when she met Sabrina, a businesswoman who had faced her own share of struggles. Sabrina saw something special in Melody. She told her one afternoon, "You have that sparkle. Don't let anyone dim it." Those words stuck with Melody. She carried them like armor. Slowly, she began rediscovering herself, the woman she was before the pain, and the woman she was becoming because of it. She started networking, getting involved in the community, and even exploring new business ideas. She wanted to build something lasting, something that was hers alone. Her children were adjusting too. The laughter that had once been missing was coming back into their lives. They ran around the house, made friends in the neighborhood, and started to feel at home. For Melody, those small moments, bedtime stories, family dinners, morning hugs, were everything. But even in Atlanta, Martell's shadow lingered. He kept posting on social media, sharing photos of himself as the perfect dad, trying to control the public narrative. It frustrated her. The fake image, the half-truths, the way he made her look like the cold, ungrateful ex who had abandoned him. Then the rumors started. Whispers that producers were considering a new show based in Atlanta, one that might focus on Melody's fresh start. The working title was Love and Legacy, the Atlanta Chapter. It sounded empowering, but to Melody, it also felt like reopening wounds. Turning her pain into entertainment wasn't what she wanted. When Martell caught wind of the idea, he was furious. He threatened to tell his side of the story, warning her not to use their past for publicity. But Melody was tired of being silent. She had spent years letting him control the story. This time, she would speak her truth. She wrote a post that said, "Sometimes silence is respect. But when your pain is used for publicity, you speak up. I took my life back for myself." That post went viral. Team Melody started trending. Thousands of women flooded her comments, sharing their own stories of strength, heartbreak, and rebirth. For the first time, Melody realized her journey wasn't just about her. It was about giving others hope. But just as she began to feel stable, just when things were finally falling into place, an email arrived that made her heart drop. It was a notice for a custody review hearing. Martell was taking her back to court. Her hands trembled as she read the details. The peace she had built was about to be tested again. She called her lawyer, Angela, a sharp, fearless woman with a reputation for fighting hard but fair. "He was never going to stay quiet," Angela said gently. "I just wanted peace," Melody replied, her voice low, heavy with frustration. "Why can't he just let me be?" Angela sighed. "Because to him, you're not just an ex-wife, you're a defeat of his pride." The court date was set for April 25th. The day came quickly. The courthouse in Atlanta was surrounded by news vans and flashing cameras. Reporters shouted questions, eager to turn this personal battle into a public show. Melody held her children's hands tightly as she walked through the crowd. She didn't say a word. Her silence was her power. Martell arrived with his lawyers, head held high, trying to project confidence, but his eyes gave away the anxiety underneath. Inside, Judge Turner presided over the hearing with calm authority. Angela spoke first, painting a clear picture of the stability Melody had created in Atlanta, the routines, the education, the loving environment. Then Martell's lawyer argued back, claiming that the children needed equal time with both parents, accusing Melody of alienating them from their father. The judge listened carefully, cutting through the emotional arguments and asking for facts. It was tense, quiet, and heavy. The day ended without a final decision. Melody walked out of that courtroom to a storm of cameras, but she kept her head high. She said nothing. Silence was still her shield. That night, Sabrina came over. The two women sat together, sipping wine in the soft glow of the living room. Melody exhaled deeply, her eyes tired but strong. "Victory isn't always about the decision," she said quietly. "It's about the intention." And she meant it. Her intention wasn't revenge or control, it was peace. She wanted her kids to grow up without fear, without chaos, without being pulled into their parents' war. Meanwhile, Martell was starting to feel the consequences of his actions. The public opinion was turning against him,